So
World War II
came to an end. Wait a second. No, it cannot be. That is
We are the Soviet Union. And war just got cold.
That was a really bad joke. Oh, okay, I think we should cut that out. What? That it can't be done? It can't be done? What are you talking about? It's my video. I'm doing this video. Okay, we should start from the beginning. No, not from the beginning. From the beginning of the video. Alright.
World War II ended, and the Allies won. And they needed to decide what to do with Germany. The USSR and Allies met on a series of conferences. The first one being Yalta's Conference. The three main countries there were the US, UK, and the USSR.
What about France?
No, friends, you're not important. Represented by Roosevelt, Churchill, and our commie friend with the cool stash, Joseph Stalin. They agreed that Berlin would be divided in 4 different regions, and that Germany would be demilitarized and denazified. They also agreed that the USSR would enter a fight against
Sunrise Land,
aka Japan. This was weird, as 5 years earlier Japan and the USSR signed a non-aggression pact. The next conference took part in Potsdam, but 3 months earlier Roosevelt tragically died due to a stroke. Participants were Cool Stash Stalin, Churchill, Attlee, and the brand new US President
Harry Truman.
This conference was very similar to Yalta. They decided that Germany would pay reparations to the USSR. Poor Germany, they did nothing wrong. Fast forward to August, and oh god, those are nuclear bombs. Harry Truman gave the order to drop atomic bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki in order to end the war. A month later, Japan effectively surrendered. But let's enjoy our stay in the lovely Asian region and go to China, where civil war broke out in 1927. Well, that's a long time ago. The war ended in the 50s, where the Communist Party of China won, defeating the Kuomintang, also known as the Democrats. It seems like Russia has got a new friend.
Привет, China! Yo, Russia! Wanna be best comrades!
Ching Chang Ping Wing.
And so this powerful alliance started. Actually, that's not true. They had a 30-year alliance pact, which didn't come along. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Yo, remember those nukes? Yeah, those. Well, the Ruskies want some of that. Let's go back to Potsdam. Truman and Stalin were talking to each other, and suddenly something along the lines of this happened.
Hey, how's your wife?
I have nuclear bombs.
What? What?
Nothing?
So Stalin sent agents to steal nuclear secrets from them. Some of this, some of those, some of that, and boom, they've got
Nuclear weapons.
quite easy, right? So France, UK, and China started building their own. Years passed, and things got even worse. America and Russia got even more pissed off at each other thanks to the outbreak of the Korean War. And this guy. No, wait, no, not him, this guy. But then, something even worse happened. Stalin kicked the bucket. That means he died. Being succeeded by Georgy Malenkov. The US also had a new president, Mr. Eisenhower. Oh yeah, and NATO was created. NATO, also known as the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, was founded by many democratic powers such as the UK, US, and France to stop the communist expansion. Yeah, Russia.
It's time to stop. It's time to stop, okay?
US was so into it that they even provided military aid to every country that joined this organization. So countries like Turkey, Greece, and Western Germany joined. And just when NATO wasn't enough, CETO was created, which is basically the same thing as NATO but in Indochina. The Geneva Summit then happened and oh boy did it make things worse! The UK, US, France and USSR were known as the Big Four. No, not those! Yeah, there we go. This was yet another conference to talk about world peace. But the conversations later degenerated into heavier topics like arms negotiations, trade barriers, diplomacy, and nuclear warfare. Then the Vietnam War broke out, a war between Northern Vietnam, the communists, and Southern Vietnam, the capitalists. Yeah, this was like a little US versus USSR war, but using other soldiers from other nations. This is what we call a proxy war. Many proxy wars happened during the Cold War, like here, 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 and basically around here. This Vietnam War was horrible. Many people died and it lasted about 20 years. Hey, but at least the capitalists won, right? No. What do you think? The communists won. Let's go to space! Sputnik, have you heard that before? No? Great! This was the first satellite created by the human race to orbit the Earth. Created by the wonderful, bountiful, plentiful USSR. And the US wasn't happy with that, because the USSR was the first to do something before them.
What? There's another country doing big things? Unacceptable!
This was the start of something called the space race. We'll mention that on some occasions. Well, remember that China and Russia had a pact which didn't come along? In the late 50s, China literally ended it, as they didn't support the idea of Moscow's policy of peaceful coexistence with the West. What's that? Oh yeah, America! Huh. Hey, seems like they have elected a new president. You recognize that handsome guy? That's not me. That's John F. Kennedy. During his run as the US president, a lot of bad things happened. Hey, do you hear that? It's Cuba. They have a crisis. A missile crisis. A Cuban missile crisis. Yeah, this is one of those bad things. The US discovered nuclear Russian bases on Cuba, and they weren't happy with that. At all. After a series of threats and negotiations, in 1962 the USSR was demanded, forced, to grab all their bombs and go back to the homeland. Now what? Oh, that's a wall. It's a very big wall. A wall that divided Berlin. Huh, a Berlin Wall! So the communists and the capitalists won't see each other. Then Kennedy was shot. In the head. Then the Soviet Union joined the US and UK to do a pact banning nuclear tests. So, you know, that's a win-win. Well, after that, nothing interesting happened. America and the USSR signed an arms control agreement, which they didn't obviously follow, as 9 years later, USSR invaded Afghanistan. Oh god, you know what's coming! Actually you don't. It's Mikhail Gorbachev. Who is Mikhail Gorbachev? Well, the guy that saved everyone's ass and ended the Cold War for good. Glasnost and Petre... Christ! What is this? What? What is this? Is this even a word? Is this even an English word? No, it's not an English word, obviously. What does it say? Perestroika? What? Okay. Perestroika. Did I get it right? I don't know. Perestroika. I think I got it right. These were two policies of openness and restructuring to rebuild the USSR. Although some politicians were skeptical and didn't believe that Gorbachev's plan was going to work. So Gorbachev grabbed him and kicked them out of the government. Whoa, what was that? Oh, no, that's not good. That's actually Chernobyl. Turns out that the nuclear reactor around the town of Pripyat went, well, boom, exploded, and spewed out radiation across the zone. This turned out quite bad for the population. Snowball freaking told them that a nuclear plant just exploded. Jesus Christ, what is this? Come on. Excluding that, the USSR started doing nice things, like scrapping the nuclear missiles. All of them. Alongside with the US. Great, right? And also some personal stuff, like the demolition of the Berlin Wall during the Revolution of the '89. At last, on September 1991, the Congress of the People's Deputies voted for a dissolution of the Soviet Union, which was done on 26th of December. That was a too sweet ski Christmas gift.